This isn't what I wanted. It's even better than I wanted. Yes, folks, we have the Jupiter on the C.H.P.R.R. now. This is awesome. And for this review, I have my friend Ray here with me. Say hi, Ray.
Hi.
Classic Ray. And the reason I got the Jupiter is because I wanted a historical engine to be on the railroad. Now let me give you a little bit of history of this locomotive. There's a lot of history behind this thing. So the Jupiter was built back in the 1860s and was used on the American Railroad for a couple of years, and it was one of two engines that were used at the dedication of America's first transcontinental railroad back in the 1860s. And the original was scrapped due to people seeing no historical value in it. But in the 1960s, a man by the name of Chad O'Connor was licensed by the US government to build an exact replica of the Jupiter, and as well as the 119 that was also scrapped and used at the dedication for the Virginia City, the National Railroad Historical Society. And every year, these exact replicas of the Jupiter and the 119, they reenact the driving of the Golden Spike. When the railroad was completed, there was a golden spike that was hammered into the ground, and as that was going on, these trains were on hand to bless the railroad. And so I thought that's the reason why I need the Jupiter, because it's a historic engine and I like preserving history. So the Jupiter, as you can see, is a beautiful blue, red, and silver locomotive with some gold stuff here and there. And overall, it's a gorgeous locomotive, and as well as the detail on it. And one of the things that I really like about this train is that it's a 440. And the 440s are some of my favorite locomotives on the entire planet. And one of the things that I definitely like is that there's a lot of painted detail on it, such as the nameplate, and a couple of other separately fitted things. And there is a headlamp in this light right here. I think it's a low voltage light, I don't know. And you got the famous number 60. And one of the things I noticed is that the tender is where the pickups are, as you can see on the bottom. On the bottom is where the pickups are. This is actually a tender-driven locomotive, which I've never seen before. My 4449, it uses its trailing wheels to pick up electricity. And so moving over to the other side, there's a little wheel right there. I'm not sure what that's for, but what I do know is that this thing probably didn't have a brake, which is... Oh, it's an emergency brake, okay. Got my stick here. Okay. And there's a lot of nice detail on this. In this area right here, you can definitely see a lot. I would like there to be like some sort of mechanism in there or something. Okay, so now on to Ray's opinion. So what do you think, Ray?
Awesome. Very nice. Glad you have it.
Are you bored? No, you cannot have my baby. This is my second baby now. my 4449 is still my number one, but anyway, that's the Jupiter, so let's get her on the railroad with her new coaches. So now she's on and ready to go, so let's see. This is her maiden voyage, pretty much. Oh my goodness! It's a tender-driven locomotive, so the motor's in the tender, which is very weird. I've never seen a train do that before, but it does really good at slow speeds. A lot better than my 4449 though. Oh, I love this! Okay, so let me get her cars. Okay, come on back, little lady. Okay, since the coupler on it is slightly different than what the coaches are used to, basically what I do is I just do this. I'm trying to let you see it. There you go. So this is what I do for my 4449. Basically, I need to forcefully connect it. Okay, so let's get a good shot of her maiden voyage. I'll be right back, guys. Dinner time. Okay, so real quick, right before we go. Oh, wrong way. Hang on, let me just get a good view. I'm sorry, I want the best for you guys. The controller's acting up. She works. She was just on a dirty piece of track. Hey, look at that!
The light works.
The light works? It must be a low voltage light because it doesn't take a lot of power to turn it on. And definitely one thing that I love about this model. Here she comes. And one thing I definitely love about this model is the fact that it goes so smoothly on these turns and stuff. That was awesome. Okay, so I have her on 40%, which is not normal for a train like this. And if you look at her, you know in those old western movies there were like those stars on the wheels? Well, the Jupiter has them. See, they're right there in the center of the wheel, which is super awesome. I just love little details like that. So I slowed down the Jupiter for you so you can get a better shot. Here she comes. Oh, listen to her sing. That is so cool. Definitely an awesome train right here. It's definitely the detail and along with a couple other factors of this model that make it so awesome. And I should also point out that on this locomotive, these things right there, that looks like coal, this isn't coal, this is actually wood. Because back in the old days they didn't have coal, they had wood instead, so this is a wood burning locomotive. Which I find totally awesome because I love old-fashioned steam engines like this. And this rod right there that you see... Oh. Here I got my little stick here so you can see what I'm talking about. That little rod right there, where my pointer is, this little rod, that's actually the motor rod. That was bad English, wasn't it? So you see, when the train starts to move, this rod, which I noticed, will start spinning. And I'll demonstrate for you. Hopefully I can get a good video. Here, watch. See, it's starting to spin. As the locomotive goes faster, it'll spin faster. It's perfectly good locomotive science. So now for what kind of for what kind of grading I give it. So I give the Jupiter, on a scale of 1 to 10, the overall value is, like the performance, is a perfect 10 out of 10. The detail is a 9.5 out of 10. Actually, no, I give it a solid 10 there as well. The value, this locomotive is kind of pricey, but it's worth every penny. And overall, I give this Jupiter replica a solid 10 out of 10. So, and also due to its performance and being the first locomotive on the C.H.P.R.R. in over 14 years, ever since my 4449. So my 4449 is gonna have to learn to share the railroad with the Jupiter now, because I like this Western style locomotive, and it's going to add a historical vibe to my railroad if you think about it. And so I thank you so much for watching, and I would like to thank my dad for getting this for me. He's the one who bought the original 4449. And so I thank him so much, and I will see you for another train video. Bye, everybody.